We're starting off with CM Punk, and thanks to his torn triceps injury, he won't be wrestling for some time, and there is no chance of him competing at the WWE Elimination Chamber Perth event. Nevertheless, Punk remains one of WWE's top stars, and with reports that he'll play a role in the road to WrestleMania, fans have been left wondering if he could still do something down under. According to PW Insider, CM Punk did not accompany WWE to Australia and remains in the United States, so there's no plan for him to play a role in person at Elimination Chamber Perth. WWE's previous plan was for Punk to emerge victorious in the Elimination Chamber matchup and subsequently challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 40. Like many plans WWE had, this idea had to be scrapped because of the injury he suffered in the Men's Royal Rumble match, and don't expect the best in the world in Perth. Not too long ago, it was reported that the Australian government wanted The Rock for Elimination Chamber Perth, with some rumors even saying he would be competing at the event. Now though, it's clear that The Rock will not make his return to the ring tomorrow, and fans hoping for a surprise appearance by the Great One shouldn't get their hopes up either. During his appearance on the Zav and Michelle for Breakfast podcast, Triple H revealed that The Rock was not going to appear at the premium live event and pointed out that The Rock's tight schedule. The game added that with all that's going to happen at Elimination Chamber Perth, that nobody would even miss The Rock, in a bold statement by WWE's chief content officer. Elimination Chamber will instead see Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins as guests on the Grayson Waller effect, and we're sure the pair will have choice words for The Rock and Roman Reigns soon enough. Earlier today, WWE hosted a pre-Elimination Chamber press conference in Perth, Australia, which featured some of WWE's top stars, as well as a certain Hall of Famer. Shortly before the event went live, Triple H made an impromptu appearance and walked onto the stage to greet the fans and got a huge chant from the WWE Universe in Perth. Elimination Chamber Perth marks another huge event for WWE, so it's fitting Triple H would be around, and the fans down under got an extra treat before the press conference even begun. One name fans can expect to see tomorrow is Raquel Rodriguez, who earned the final spot in the Women's Chamber on Raw, but she may have a different name when she steps foot in the structure. During the Elimination Chamber press conference, Triple H named a few superstars to get a reaction from the crowd and said Raquel Gonzalez instead of Rodriguez, which caught fan attention. Raquel Gonzalez is the name the former women's tag champion used for years, and fans were admittedly surprised when she had her name changed when she came to the main roster. On an episode of the Out of Character podcast, Raquel admitted that she preferred to have kept her Gonzalez name, as that's her real name and part of her legacy. With Triple H's comment, it seems like Raquel may be getting her old name back after all. And what do you think of this? Sound off in the comments. Tomorrow's Elimination Chamber match will be a huge show, featuring not one but two chamber matches, but in a surprising move, neither match is expected to headline the show. That's according to a report from PWE, who has a solid track record for breaking news, and who reported this week that Rhea Ripley vs. Nia Jax will main event the PLE in Perth, Australia. It's rare, though not unheard of, for women's title matches to headline premium live events, and this decision will certainly have been affected by Ripley being in her native country for the show. Rhea Ripley always gets loud pops, and that'll be especially true in Australia, and expect the loudest pop of the night to go to Mommy when she headlines the show against Nia Jax. One superstar fans shouldn't expect in Australia is Roman Reigns, whose cushy contract with WWE means he only competes a handful of times each year. This has been a bone of contention for the fans, as well as stars like Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, the latter of whom took aim at the Tribal Chief at the Elimination Chamber Perth press conference. While he too won't compete at the PLE, Rollins made the trip to Australia and, during the press conference, said that Reigns wasn't showing up, which he called the Tribal Chief's MO. With rumors of a tag match pitting Rollins and Cody Rhodes against The Rock and Roman Reigns, expect more digs like this, and we'll have to see if the undisputed WWE Universal Champion has a rebuttal. Kevin Owens was also part of the Elimination Chamber Perth press conference, who spoke about the upcoming men's chamber match before Randy Orton made it clear he was going to win. The conversation between Owens and Orton was interrupted by the not-so-crowd favorite in Australia, current WWE United States Champion Logan Paul, who was booed by the fans. Paul fired back at the audience, saying Perth was a poor choice for the PLE, and then traded some verbal barbs with Owens, who he'd previously faced at the Royal Rumble. Following a verbal back and forth, a brawl broke out between the duo, with Triple H and other people coming in between to prevent the matter escalating further. Owens and Paul will almost certainly come to blows in the Elimination Chamber. And do you think either man will leave Australia with a World Heavyweight title match at WrestleMania waiting? We are less than 24 hours away from WWE Elimination Chamber Perth, and it's now been confirmed that one of Australia's favorite daughters will be competing at the event. On the kickoff show, Indi Hartwell will team with Candice LeRae to challenge women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, and Indi is hoping to have an epic homecoming by winning the tag gold. With Elimination Chamber Perth being WWE's first premium live event in Australia since 2018, it's hardly a surprise that excitement down under for the show is at a fever pitch. Just ask fans at the WWE Superstore, which this week opened up and has seen massive queues outside of fans wanting to pick up some authentic WWE merchandise. Given that the fans don't have to pay extortionate postage fees, it's understandable why the Superstore is popular, which features top stars like Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley on its entrance. On Twitter, Triple H has acknowledged the level of love fans from Australia have been giving in all the different ways, so expect WWE to make a killing at their very popular WWE Superstore. Over to TNA, and after Anthem made the decision to fire Scott D'Amore as TNA president and replace him with their own president, the fans and the roster made clear that they weren't happy. The roster issued a letter to Anthem this month, making their support for Scott clear, but so far that hasn't been enough to make Anthem reconsider their decision. This letter shared the view of many in TNA, though it's since been made clear that this was not a joint effort and therefore may not reflect the views of everyone in the company. According to PW Insider, a talent meeting has been called for before Saturday's TV taping in New Orleans, with speculation that Len Asper, the head of Anthem, may be in attendance. TNA also has its next pay-per-view, No Surrender, which will take place tonight, and Anthem may be wary of an unhappy roster competing at this event, as well as tomorrow's taping. The meeting with talent signals an attempt to address concerns and provide clarity amidst the recent upheaval within the organization, and it'll be interesting to see what is said between the two sides. But what do you think of this situation? Do you think Anthem should reconsider their decision to get rid of Scott D'Amore? Let us know in the comments section below. During this week's AEW Dynamite, Hangman Adam Page landed awkwardly on his foot, and it was reported shortly after that the Cowboy had suffered a suspected broken ankle. That's certainly seemed to be the case, as Page was seen hobbling and telling the medical crew it's bad at ringside, but it's since been reported that he was simply playing up to the fans. In an update on Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez reported that Adam Page is not injured, but worked an ankle injury, but this injury may still keep him from competing at Revolution. It was explained that Page has something going on in his personal life, and he may not be able to work the event, and this kayfabe injury could be AEW's attempt to write him out of the match. The match in question is the AEW World Title Triple Threat that'll also include Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland, and Alvarez added that people close to Hangman don't know the full details. It's presumed that he and Tony Khan had discussed it, but it's not confirmed, and while Page is thankfully not hurt, competing at Revolution 2024 may still be off the table. This week's Dynamite was the penultimate Wednesday show before AEW Revolution next weekend, and fans may have noticed that AEW didn't announce many matches or segments in advance. This isn't how AEW usually operates, and on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that Jeff Hardy was supposed to play a significant role in the show. It's said that uncertainty around Sting's availability led to limited announcements, and that originally, a match with Orange Cassidy, Hardy, and Trent Beretta was scheduled. However, Beretta's unexpected illness, initially described as an injury on the show, prompted a last-minute replacement with Mike Bennett, and the atmosphere backstage was said to be chaotic. Simply put, AEW didn't know what they'd be able to do ahead of the show, and didn't want to falsely advertise matches and segments, and hopefully things are back to normal next week. It was in May 2022 that Randy Orton was taken off TV with a severe back injury, and for a while, it appeared that the former world champion's career had ended under awful circumstances. 18 months after his previous match, Orton made a triumphant return as part of last November's men's War Games match and would get the win for his team over the Judgment Day. Sitting down with Sports Illustrated this week, Orton addressed his injury and the significant pain he endured on a regular basis during his time away. He said, "Before I left, I got to the point where Riddle had done everything he could for me as a tag partner. I could barely stand for a long amount of time. Taking my kids trick-or-treating that Halloween, I would have to sit in between the houses because I just couldn't be on my feet that long." Later on, the pain was so severe that he couldn't even sit without being in an excruciating amount of pain, which Orton explained with a toilet-centric anecdote. I had stenosis, degeneration of my lower spine, and a slipping disc. Every time I extended my spine, it would slip and press on those nerves. I couldn't sit and take a without pain shooting down my legs or my feet going numb. I couldn't stand. There were times when I'd move and I'd end up on the floor. Thankfully, Orton had successful surgery and is now back to normal and is ready to enter the Elimination Chamber, a match he's appeared in 8 times and won once back in 2014. It remains to be seen whether he'll emerge victorious in the bout in Perth, Australia, but considering how bad things were, simply getting to this point is a huge win for the Legend Killer. This week, WWE 2K shared what was said to be a full roster announcement, which baffled fans given that many notable names were not featured in the reveal. Two-time WWE World Champion and overall top star Drew McIntyre is one of the several superstars not in the game, as well as names like Dragon Lee and Lyra Valkyria. This list certainly didn't seem like the full roster, and Fightful Select reports they were told this was an error by 2K24 and should be fixed immediately. WWE 2K24 is set for launch on March 8th with additional DLC characters scheduled for down the line, and hopefully we'll have some clarification on who's in and who's out soon enough. In December 2022, Robert Roode's wrestling career was put on hold after he underwent neck fusion surgery, and in May 2023, he had to undergo a second fusion surgery. This June will mark 2 years since Roode's most recent match, and this week, the glorious former NXT champion gave a startling update on his wrestling career. Roode made an appearance on the Inside podcast and revealed that he's been greenlit to compete once again, but isn't sure if he ever will. He explained that at 47 years old, he believes that wrestling full-time again after these surgeries is something he can't do, but didn't count out a one-off return, possibly in a Royal Rumble match. Instead of wrestling, Roode has been working as a producer, which he is very happy to do, as he explained on the podcast that when he joined WWE, he hoped to eventually be in the role. Roode, in his own words, had a good run, but it seems his wrestling career is over, despite the Canadian superstar being cleared to compete once more. Back to Australia, as tomorrow's event will see Seth Rollins' opponent for WrestleMania 40 be decided, as 6 top superstars will compete in the men's Elimination Chamber match. Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and LA Knight will give all they have to earn a title shot at WrestleMania, but who is Rollins himself pulling for? During an appearance on Nathan, Nat, and Sean, Rollins was queried about his preference regarding his potential opponent and said, "I want to face Randy, I owe him one. We had a WrestleMania match many moons ago, WrestleMania 31. 9 years later, we're both in different places in our careers. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton on the marquee sounds beautiful." Orton emerged victorious against Rollins at WrestleMania 31, but later that evening, Seth cashed in his Money in the Bank contract during the WWE title match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Now, 9 years later, Rollins and Orton could have the rematch, and do you want to see Randy leave Perth triumphant? Or should someone else face Rollins in Philly? Let us know in the comments. We've got an update regarding Julia Hart now, who has been out of action for some time with an injury, but it may not be long until we see the reigning TBS champion again. On Twitter, a fan wished Hart a speedy recovery from her injury, and the House of Black member responded, pleased to say that it's been very speedy. Julia Hart isn't expected to be cleared to wrestle this month, but she may be back in the ring sooner than first thought, and we'd like to echo that fan sentiment by wishing her a speedy recovery. During the January 12th episode of SmackDown, the match between Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory did not go as planned, with both men suffering a fall from the top rope. This botched seated Spanish fly would result in Theory being concussed and out of action for some time, but he's since recovered and has made a major decision regarding his future. In a recent interview with the West Australian, Theory addressed the botched spot and confirmed that his days of hitting the seated Spanish fly are over, stating, "Something goes wrong and it doesn't feel right, and then seeing the video footage back and myself upside down, literally on the top of my head, wow, like very grateful for that, and that move is retired for Austin Theory, so yeah." Given the circumstances, it appears that Theory made a prudent decision in retiring the move that led to his concussion, as he's expected to have a long, lucrative career in wrestling ahead of him. Having a long career includes making tough decisions about which moves to use and which to avoid, and what do you make of the former US champion's decision? Let us know in the comments. Lloyd Anoa'i, also known as LA Smooth, has been in the wrestling business for a long time now and spent some time as a WWE wrestler, and he's now hoping for a return in a different role. In a recent interview with Steve Fall, Lloyd opened up about his future aspirations and admitted that he's hoping to return to WWE as a producer. Lloyd also spoke about last year's Tribal Court segment and revealed that WWE wanted as many family members there, but after one got sick and others couldn't make it, plans changed. The son of WWE Hall of Famer Afa, Lloyd Anoa'i has done plenty in the ring, but it may just be a matter of time before he takes a significant role in WWE behind the scenes. Later this year, John Cena will star in the new comedy Ricky Stanicky, in which three friends have made up a fake friend that they use to get out of many obligations. When their partners demand to meet Ricky, the friends find an actor, played by Cena, to pretend to be Stanicky, leading to several hilarious moments from the 16-time world champion. Now Cena's made a unique effort to promote the film, as fans can now subscribe to the free OnlyFans page of Ricky, who describes himself as an impersonator, philanthropist, investment banker. The only images on the OnlyFans are indeed of Cena in character as Ricky Stanicky, and it's certainly an interesting way for John to promote the film that'll release next month. It's been quite some time since fans last saw Cena in the ring, but recently the 16-time WWE World Champion resurfaced with an interesting ally. On Twitter, Charlotte Flair shared a photo from the WWE Performance Center where she's been rehabbing the injury she suffered last December, and shared a photo with Big Match John. As for why Cena was at the Performance Center is unclear, though we're sure any young NXT superstars would love to learn from the wrestling legend. While Charlotte Flair is completely ruled out of WrestleMania 40 plans due to her injury, Cena's status for the show of shows is still up in the air, with speculation he could still compete. Cena has been open about the fact that his career is winding down, and there won't be many WrestleManias left for him, which makes his presence at the Performance Center all the more interesting this week. At AEW's first Double or Nothing event in 2019, Cody Rhodes used a sledgehammer to destroy a Triple H-inspired throne in an unsubtle shot at the game that left fans divided. While many loved Rhodes taking a shot at WWE, some saw it as an unnecessary dig at WWE and a sign of things to come for AEW, who would make plenty of shots at WWE in the following years. Now, nearly 5 years after that segment, Triple H has shared his reaction to the spot, and on the Alan and Carly show, the game admitted he wasn't riled up by the spot. He explained, "I laughed about it then. People make that stuff out to be so much more than it is. If I was in his shoes, I'd have done the same thing. And it's one of the things that I love about Cody is, I watched Cody go from being a kid in this business, and I don't mean that as disrespectful, he's literally a kid." A lot has changed with both Cody and Triple H since then, and nowadays Rhodes is one of the most vocal advocates for WWE and has been part of the company's recent success. Cody Rhodes once vehemently was against WWE, but that isn't the case anymore, and it's good that Triple H wouldn't let this throne spot stop him from bringing back the American Nightmare. But what did you think of the segment from Double or Nothing 2019? An epic moment against the powers that be, or an unnecessary spot that came across as petty? Share your thoughts below. And we're ending with Adam Copeland, who since joining AEW has been feuding with Christian Cage over the TNT title, but the Rated R Superstar won't be in action at Revolution. Copeland was taken out by the patriarchy during his match with Daniel Garcia last week and was given a concerto by Christian, and fans shouldn't expect Copeland back anytime soon. Instead, Cage will defend the TNT title against Garcia next weekend, and we'll have to see if Garcia can dethrone the head of the patriarchy as TNT champion.